Hello, welcome to my Marvel Rivals Season 0 DPS tier list. All right. For those of you who don't know, I have done an A to Z challenge over the last month where I've played every single hero in Marvel Rivals. And I've had to get competitive wins on every single one before I could move on to the next. It's taken us a while to get through the challenge. There was a lot of heroes. But as a result, I have played everyone to a good enough degree that I can win consistently on them. So I feel like I'm in a good position to share my opinion on these things and what I think about the heroes and how effective they are. Now, just a quick disclaimer, as I have with my other tier lists, this is just my opinion. You are more than free to disagree. But let's be nice about it. You know, let's have a nice discussion. Don't just be a dick in the comments. It doesn't really help anybody. I'm just sharing my opinion. Whether you agree or not, totally up to you. All right. So we are going to kick off with my actual personal favorite, by the way. I love Black Panther. He is by far, out of any of the 33 heroes I played, he was the most fun for me. I really, really enjoyed playing him. In terms of how I think he ranks, I'm gonna put him in high B. Now, the reason I'm putting him here, I think he's incredibly effective. But the reason I'm putting him here is because I think he takes a lot of skill expression to make work. He has some really nice one-shot combos. I think he can do a really nice job of pressure in the backline, which is obviously what he's supposed to do as a dive champ. And I think what he does, other than the other dive DPS, is he has the ability to actually just go through the front line to get there, right? Instead of having to play these like little back alleys or try and go over the top or any number of these ways to try and sneak your way into the back line, because of how his dashes work, you can actually just go straight through the tanks. You don't need to play this like back to front. You can just go straight through the front to get to them if you want to. Which makes him like quite a unique dive DPS in that regard, I think. He can also I think he takes a lot of skill to make work, which is why I put him in B. I think in low tiers he's kind of shitty. Sorry. Yeah. I think in low tiers he's kind of shitty because people don't know how to play him well enough. In high tiers, I think he can be such an effective backline pressure point that your supports just have no play, right? He is very susceptible to a Mantis Sleep or a Lunar Freeze. Those two abilities particularly really fuck him up because he can just get burst then without any kind of mobility to get out. But if you time it right and they don't have those available or you can get in and out, I think he's an incredibly effective pressure point. You might not see him getting all the kills because he might fuck up his combo, but he does have a good amount of one-shot combos for support specifically. And I think he can be quite effective at dueling quite a good amount of the other DPS too. Just by sheer fact of people can't track him. If your movement is good enough and your dash resetting is good enough, you just can't fucking hit this guy. Like, he's all over the place. And he's so incredibly fun. So that's the reason I put him in B, because I think he takes a lot of skill to play, but I think he is very good. And certainly my favorite to play. I don't think anyone is going to disagree with this. In my opinion, I think Black Widow is the worst hero in this game. There was some argument for Storm, but then I played Storm and I changed my mind. Apart from Magneto, I feel like Black Widow is the only other hero in the game that does not fit the design philosophy of the game. That is honestly the best way I can put it to you. I feel like they've tried to make a sniper class, which is understandable. They always do in these type of games, right? There's always a sniper class. But the problem is they don't want to do the Widowmaker thing by having a one-shot headshot, which is completely fair enough. We've seen it with Hawkeye and Hela. We know how game-ruining that is. We know how much people hate it. So there's no point in making a sniper class that can one-shot headshot because people will fucking hate it, and I agree. But then there is no point in having a sniper class. She offers nothing, right? Because what I found in playing her is you can do a good amount of damage, but you are then reliant on your teammates to follow up on that damage and finish off the kills. So if you're coordinating and you're calling out who you're shooting at and stuff, she can be okay at taking a target down to like below half health so that someone else can finish them off. But in a game with such crazy hypermobility as this, where there are 6 moving pieces on the enemy team who are all fucking moving around and this, it's hard to hit a headshot. And it's hard to hit 2 headshots in a row on the same target because there's a lot of places that are going to have cover. And unless they're kind of brain dead, they're going to notice they're being shot at after the first time. And the slow reload means that there's often, especially if you're targeting healers, there will often be healing in between that. So not even a 2-shot sometimes, right? So I just think the hero design in itself is really ineffective because her only other abilities are some melee combo, which can be nice when you're getting dove on. But when you're playing Widow, everyone and their fucking mother is going to dive on you, right? And you don't have enough in the bank to duel with most divers. As a Widow, you're not winning against the Black Panther. You're not winning against the Magik unless you do this crazy hip fire flick, right? And hit a heady. So most of the time, you're just going to lose out. And she has no other abilities apart from her sprint and leap. She's got nothing. So I feel like they need to change her design philosophy completely. I honestly wouldn't even mind if they completely took the sniper out of the game, because the other problem about the sniper in a game like this is you have to scope in, right? And someone can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I believe Black Widow has a damage fall off if she does less damage if she hip fires than if she scopes in. But when you scope in, you have such minimal vision that when you've got all of these heroes jumping around you and moving around you and you're scoped in and focused, you're just going to get stabbed in the back and shit on. It happened so often because I couldn't see them coming from the side. I don't have the POV. And I don't have the range of POV because I'm fucking focused in on sniping on one point. Or I'm looking around with my sniper, but because I'm scoped in, I have a much, not POV, FOV, sorry, field of view. So because you've got a much shorter field of view, you can't see people coming at you from all directions. So a sniper just doesn't fit in this game. I would love to see them change her into more of like a melee character with maybe some stun, like an electrocute stun or something, and use that side of her rather than try and make her a sniper. Her ultimate sucks dick. I think it can be a good combo ultimate. I think it's got a really good slow. So maybe you can hit that, and it does help her hit headshots. And it can be comboed with other ults, but it really does nothing comparatively. I think she needs a design rework, because the only buff direction you can go is to buff her damage to make her effective as a sniper, and then that ruins the game for everyone, as we've seen with Hawkeye and Hela. So I think she just needs a flat out design rework, to be honest. I'm not going to talk too much about these two. I think we all know why these two are so insanely strong. Obviously, this is season 0, so this is a tier list before everything gets changed in season 1. We don't know what the buffs and the nerfs are at the time of recording this. So, as it stands, I don't feel like we need to go too much into why these two are so good. Hawkeye's one-shot ability is ridiculous. The fact that you can just fire random shit down where you think the enemy might be and you randomly might just get a support headshot. The hitbox on the arrows is insanely big. Like, way bigger than I think it should be. So, you just get caught by random fucking arrow strays all the time. And then a good Hawkeye is just game ruining. And the ultimate is broken as shit. The fact that the whole concept of him is slow, methodical, powerful shots. And then you just have this ultimate where you can just rapid fire and you get 100 charge for every single one. So you can just easily team wipe without a problem. It's so easy. Hela, we've talked about Hela. Apart from the fact that she has one of the best attack animations in the game, if not the best. The fact that she can two-shot pretty much anybody. The fact that she also has a stun. She's got an invincibility escape, which is insane to me. There is basically no counterplay to that apart from just to follow her and hope that you can get the kill afterwards if she hasn't already domed you by then. Her team up is one of the most disgusting team ups in the game, considering who she is as a champion. The fact that she can res Thor and Loki randomly or give them bonus HP anytime she gets a kill, and she can two-shot anybody, just means that, like, if you're playing with a good Hela, you pretty much have 100% uptime on those guys. Like, if they're getting their effective kills. Like, she's ridiculous. And I think I don't need to talk about them too much. I don't think anyone can argue with this. And if you're going to argue with this, what fucking game have you been playing for the last month? Iron Fist. I think he is... his auto lock is really good for chasing people. But he doesn't... It feels like out of the backline divers, he is one that offers the least. You know, if you look at the dive melee champs or just the dive champs in general, I feel like he offers you the least. He can be incredibly annoying. I think he takes either a ridiculous amount of button bashing or really high skill expression to make work. I find him quite difficult in my games to make him work. He does have a lot of tools to gain bonus health. But there are quite a lot of ways to peel away from him. The fact that he can fly and take out air people is fucking ridiculous, in my opinion. There should be no reason that he can auto lock onto an Iron Man or a Storm and consistently kill them without any problem. And then that's dumb as shit. I think his attacks meh. His shield, his right click to kind of the defensive stance is good to protect yourself as you dive in. Especially if you're getting kited around quite a lot. He is really annoying to play against, a good Iron Fist, but as you get into higher tiers, he's shit. He's really annoying in early elo because of the auto lock and the fact that he can just chase you down infinitely. And there's not a lot of heroes that you can maybe self-peel with like a Mantis Sleep or something, or as a Jeff, you can just try and dive and go up the walls, or as a Rocket Dash, but he will always be able to follow you if he's singling you out. So he requires a bit more team play around to stop him isolating targets. In high elo, I think he's just shit. I think people are too good to be isolated by him as much. And I think he just isn't as effective as applying the pressure as other divers, because he's very, very single target focused. If he's wasting his time diving one healer the entire game, then it's wasted. You know, do you know what I mean? A good healer will be able to kite him out, move away, you know, peel, and then still do something for their team. He's just not very effective as a team player. He's very much a solo queue. Like, you can imagine you know how I'm talking about. The fucking sweats, right? You can imagine the one-trick sweats just fucking up games on Iron Man. I think I have seen legitimately maybe two good... Not Iron Man. I think I've seen two good Iron Fists in the entire month I've played. That didn't just annoy me a little bit, right? Because when you're in bronze and silver and you're learning the game, he's really annoying. After that, he just does fuck all in high ranks. So I'm going to leave him in D. I don't think he's good. Iron Man. Oh boy. Iron Man started out as like D tier, C tier, and everyone was like, this hero's shit. You just get fucking dumb. I'm actually, yeah, I'm going to leave him in S. The reason that people have started to understand how good he is because they changed how you play him. I think in the beginning, a lot of people were playing him as this really high-flying, poke at targets all the time. And you just poke until you get your all, bam, big team fight win. His Hulk team-up is one of the most disgusting in the game. That gamma ray is in-fucking-sane. It's so busted. He can duel pretty much anyone in the game and he will win. Including tanks. Right? Especially if he has that gamma team up, he can literally, apart from maybe Hawkeye and Hela, because they will one-shot him in the sky, and he is very susceptible to hit scan, right? So So I think like Punisher and stuff is also really good against him. But if he's playing well and he's using cover and he's using this like much closer style of fighting where he's using the uni beam a lot more, he is incredibly oppressive. You either deal with him or you're going to lose the game by proxy. Because whenever you don't focus him, like if you don't look at him for 5 seconds, he's suddenly sweeping on your tanks and he's bursting your tanks from 100 to 0 in like 3 seconds. He's absolutely ridiculous. His ultimate is really good. There are a lot of counters to his ult, obviously. And we've got more coming with Mr. Fantastic. I think even without the team up, I would say he's A tier, possibly B. But because of the Hulk team up specifically and how effective it is, he is an S tier and he's disgusting to deal with. I hate playing against Iron Man in my games. It's so oppressive. And more than that, just the pressure that he puts on just by being present, like changes the way that you have to play the game completely. He's incredibly annoying. Magik. This might be a bit controversial. I don't know how people feel about Magik. I think Magik is the best brawler in the game. I think hands down, she is the best brawler in the game. She's got invincibility frames to get out of big ultimates. You know, you can pretty much get out of anything with it. With a combination of the dash and the invincibility frames from the teleport, you can get out of Jeffels, Groot ults. God, just so many. Fucking Doctor Strange ults. Her sword does an incredible amount of damage. I think she's far less effective in low elo because she, again, I think has a very high skill expression. But once you start to get to kind of, I would say like plat and above, even, I would say she starts to get very oppressive, especially if they know what they're doing with animation canceling, when to dive in and when to not. She is an incredibly oppressive force for your backliners to deal with. Now, obviously, you can get lucky and you can kite sometimes, but with like a mantis sleep, for example. But if you don't burst her in that sleep, she's just going to constantly dive on you. You cannot get away from a Magik. You have to duel her, or you have to peel and either burst or get the fuck out, because she's got so much mobility between the dashes, the teleports. Like, she will chase you forever. So honestly, the best way to deal with a Magik, in my opinion, is to not isolate yourself, stay grouped, and peel for each other, right? The supports need to play together, because when she dives on one support, the other support needs to try and out-heal the damage she can output. But she has very good burst combos. She can also tank burst. I think she's also quite... she's quite effective at... So one of the things that I find very effective with Magik, people might disagree with me on this, you can dive into their backline if they're playing a front to back, dive into their supports, dive into their backline, make them push back, get them out of line of sight, make them push back, and then you just turn on their tanks, right? And you can do a lot of damage to those tanks. You burst the tanks because the healers aren't there and they're not healing them. Bam. Her hypermobility and stuff makes her very, very good. And she can out-duel anyone. And the only reason I haven't put her higher or lower is because I think in high elo, I think she is insanely good. I think she takes a lot of skill expression. So that's why. Her ultimate is also really good. Just amps her damage even more. But you have all the same combos that you do before. It just gives you this insane DPS boost. So yeah, I don't think her team-ups are kind of meh. The fact that the team-ups don't reset health or anything is just kind of mid. It's kind of a bit of a get-out-of-jail-free card. But, I mean, if you're running... It does make sense, you know, if you're going to run like a double dive. But then, if you're running a double dive with like a Magik or a Black Panther or Magik Psylocke, which is who gets her team-ups, you just play something like an Iron Man. And they can't do shit, you know? So there are obviously, you know, counters to this, but I think she's the best brawler in the game. Oh, MoonKnight, you absolute fucking piece of shit. MoonKnight is S tier. I don't think there can be any debate about this right now. Outside of these to absolute broken monstrosities, I think MoonKnight is ridiculous. He has a very effective and consistent low cooldown one-shot combo. You drop an Ankh, and especially in low relos, you drop an Ankh, and most people have no fucking idea what's happened to them before they die. Especially with the knock-up, if you hit it straight on them. Excuse me. In my opinion, and people might disagree with this, I think there is absolutely no fucking reason that his Ankh should have no damage reduction penalty. His right clicks and left clicks should have no damage penalty while ricocheting. The fact that they do full damage through all ricocheting is fucking absurd, in my opinion. There should be some damage reduction if you're not firing directly at someone or if you're bouncing it off an Ankh. It's so crazy that doesn't exist in the game. I think his ultimate is an incredibly effective combo ult. I think a lot of times if you don't have a combo, he is kind of mid. You might get one pick off here or there. But it's a really good space maker. It's a really good combo. We talked about Groot combo with MoonKnight is really effective. Doctor Strange with MoonKnight is also a really effective combo. Anything that holds people in place, he can combo with really, really well. He's got good mobility. He's got good escape. There's nothing that he doesn't have, really. I think he is kind of busted, and I'm amazed that he has also not got any nerfs, to be honest. I think he's a pretty disgusting champion. And especially in low elo, people have a massive aversion to killing static objects. Penny nests, MoonKnight Ankhs, anything that's... People just... They just ignore it. I don't know why people just can't kill the fucking Ankhs. It's not that hard. But yeah, especially low elo, he's extremely effective. Because also, you don't need to aim. So he doesn't have high skill... he doesn't have a really high skill floor. So he's very easy for it to be effective. He still has a good high skill ceiling in your positioning, in where you place the Ankhs, how you approach targets can all be really high skill expression. But he's very easy to get started on as well. So, excuse me. Quite often for new players, I will recommend playing MoonKnight because he's effective at all levels. Namor! Now, I'm going to put Namor at high B, low A, right? So consider him like here, right? But we can't do that. He's kind of like here. I think Namor is really fucking good. And he is... Outside of Penny, he's the best anti-dive champ in the game. He's also the only true anti-dive DPS. His turrets are incredibly fucking annoying. His Lunar Snow team-up is really... Where's Lunar Snow gone? Oh, that was in the other one. Sorry, getting confused. The Lunar Snow team-up is really good. Sorry, I'm drinking a lot because I've got a little bit of a cold, so forgive me. I don't want to burn my throat out. He also does a lot of damage. His spears have a really good hitbox, so they're quite easy to hit when you're aiming at people. So if you've got any reasonable kind of aim, I think he's incredibly good. I might even put him low A. I'm going to put him low A, actually. So consider him like in the middle here, but we're going to put him A. His ultimate is kind of mid in terms of like the damage it does. But I didn't know this until I played him, that actually it stops any mobility abilities. So it's a really, really effective anti-dive. Obviously against people like Black Panther, Magik, Spiderman, any of these, being able to stop mobility abilities so you can burst them down in that period and it knocks them down can be really, really effective. His turrets are incredibly oppressive, and I, as a dive character player, I despise playing into a good Namor. I despise it. He has an invulnerability as well. I think his shift ability is really good. Obviously, it can just set you up to die, but it can delay your death, which can often help you team out. unless you're staggering like crazy. But I just think he's a really good static defender, you know? And not even static. Because of the low cooldown of your turrets, you can honestly kind of like, you can use it to go at people. Not just like hold a certain area. But you can use those turrets, throw them down so that they focus the turret, and then bam, bam. Right? Left click, right click, left click, done. And so he can be a really effective duelist in that way too, especially with his invulnerability. So he's just, I think people took a long time to understand him, but he's super effective. I think he's, seeing a good Namor on the opposite team strikes fear into me, and I have crazy PTSD from many games going against this guy, so I think he's really good. And I think his Lunar Snow team up is also super solid. Oh, Psylocke, you bitch. Psylocke's S tier. I think outside of Hawkeye and Hela, I personally think Psylocke is the most broken hero in the game. I may have said that about MoonKnight, but I actually think she is much worse than MoonKnight in terms of how broken and OP she is. She has 2 dashes, so she's hypermobile. She has, on top of those escape abilities, she also has an invis escape, so she's exceptionally hard to pin down. She is without a doubt the best flanker in the game, and it's not even close. Her damage output on her crossbow is absolutely absurd, right? The fact that she can win a 1v1 against virtually any tank in the game is fucking ridiculous, right? Her one-shot combos are so fast. The left click, right click, dash. Or is it left click, right click, dash? Is so fucking quick. There is zero counterplay most of the time. If you're up against a really good Psylocke, there is zero counterplay. It is so miserable playing support into a good Psylocke. And on top of all of that, apart from having insane escape, insane mobility, insane one-shot combos, insane tank-busting damage as well, it's not even like she's just a flanker who can damage backline. She can take on tanks and absolutely destroy tanks by herself. It's beyond ridiculous how good she is. And then she has an invulnerable ultimate that you cannot do anything about apart from just run the fuck out. Right? And it does 150 damage every strike while she's invulnerable. It is ridiculously broken. This hero, I don't know if other people feel the same about this. This hero is the most broken hero outside of Hawkeye and Hela. And the fact that she's not getting changed means that in Season 1, I think she might arguably become the most broken hero in the game. She's so ridiculous. I think she will be a permaban, if I'm honest. Diamond and above, she will be a permaban. She fucking will be in my games, I can tell you that. She's going to be an absolute permaban. I think she's fucking balmy. Scarlet Witch. D. Scarlet Witch is shit. Anything above gold, any rank above gold, she is shit. Yes, she is annoying. And she's certainly annoying for some heroes like dive characters because of the consistent damage that you can't really escape from. If you're within her range. And I think the aim on it is so crazy. It's like you're aiming at someone here, her crosshair can be over here, and she's still hitting you. It's ridiculous. Her left click actually does less damage than Cloak and Dagger's left click. So I don't think it's that good outside of consistent damage. But if you have good healers, then, and you're not too isolated, that damage is pretty negligible and very easy to shake off. Her right click damage is pretty good and is nice AoE. But I don't think it's good enough to justify being high. Her phase ability is great. and a very, very good escape tool. It means you can't really go on her. You have to kind of dip in and out to try and burst her down. It's very rare. If they're a good Scarlet Witch, it's very rare you're going to burst them in one go. Outside of like a big ultimate. But I think the reason she's shit is she's very easily counterplayable in high elo. I think in low elo, below maybe gold and below, I think she's very effective. Because she doesn't require aim. She doesn't require good crosshair placement or anything like that. She's just a run at people and go la 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 la. Right? She doesn't really. You can go brain off fully. I think her ultimate is dog shit. The fact that when she pops her ultimate, there is a massive red arrow that points to everyone where she's coming from makes it nearly impossible that you are ever going to get effective ultimates off consistently. Yes, you may hit a clip and you may get an ultimate with 4 or 5, whatever, but consistently, especially at high elo, is never going to happen. The second you show your face in public because she's so slow moving and there's this massive red arrow on the map, right? Sorry, my throat is getting scratchy. I apologize. The fact that she's got this big arrow, the second you hear that, like everyone just turns around and is going to fucking blast her before she even gets it off. She's a very slow moving, easy target. So as long as you have good coordination, which you will do at high elos and people are paying attention, you're pretty much always going to kill her before she gets it off, right? In my opinion, I think if they were going to change Scarlet Witch, I think they should take the big fucking warning label off so that maybe you can use her ultimate a bit more effectively from round corners. You can use her ult for like effectively around corners and like surprise people with it in the build-up. But as it stands right now, because it signals to everyone on the field where you are, I think it's shit. A team-up is very good with Magneto. I think it's what makes Magneto very viable. But it means having a Scarlet Witch on your team, which is just kind of shit in itself, right? But yeah, I think she's pretty terrible. Spider-Man. Right. I think Spider-Man is C. For a couple of reasons. Out of everyone on this list, when I did my A to Z challenge, I was most worried about playing Spider-Man. Because he is incredibly skill expressive heavy. Because he's the sweat character of the game, right? He's for the Genji mains. He's for the really skilled gamers that want to show off and do all this crazy tech and shit, right? And he is incredibly fun. Once I got the hang of him, it took me a while. But once I got the hang of him a little bit, he was very enjoyable to play. So I think the thing with Spider-Man is he does have these, you know, nice one-shot combos, but he takes so much more effort to get one kill on the backline than most other heroes. So because he has such a high skill expression, I think particularly in low elo, most of the time he's going to be really ineffective as a team player. Excuse me. As a team player. He's a solo queue monster. Maybe if you were one trick in a Spider-Man, he is going to be really annoying to play against and to try and take out. So, but as long as you play around it and you group together, I think in high elo, he might struggle a lot more to be as effective as a lot of other brawlers or a lot of other backdivers. Because you just have to do so much more work for one kill than any other hero. He's going to have his demons. You know, we could talk about Necros being an absolute Spider-Man demon and what they can do on it. But in reality, I think he does have a lower damage output comparatively to others. And while he does have good one-shot combos, I think you can easily be countered as long as the other team are playing well around it and not isolating themselves in this 1v1, you know? And there's the obvious tricks of like pulling people off the map and stuff like that. But I just don't feel like he offers enough in team comps to justify taking over other people. But he is incredibly fun. I will certainly say that. Spider-Man surprised me a lot at just how enjoyable he was actually to play. So if we're just talking in terms of pure fun, he's probably like A tier, right? I had a great time learning him and trying to try and take my own skill and try and make it work. And we suffered for a few games, but once I got the hang of it, it was actually really good fun. The swing mechanics just feel so nice. So yeah, there will definitely be some crazy Spider-Man one tricks out there, but in terms of general hero, I don't think he is that good. Squirrel Girl. I'm gonna put Squirrel Girl in C tier, actually. I don't think she's that good. I think Squirrel Girl has really good damage, and she's kind of... The way that I've seen her played most effectively is kind of as a tank buster, right? She can be quite good on like thin maps like Clintar. So, you know, these very narrow points where you can just Junkrat style throw a shit ton of acorns down a lane and you will probably kill someone, right? But because she's got quite high explosive damage, she's not bad into like shield meta to burn people's shields quite quickly. But then how effective is that really, you know, compared to what a lot of other DPS can do? I think her squirrels are nice, but the squirrel blockade, whatever you call it, the little stun, I think, yeah, it's okay. And sometimes you can catch people off guard. Most of the time, you're probably not going to hit it. And if you do, the stun time is quite short. So you've really got to like play with your team to unload that damage to try and burst that hero before they get out. And obviously you can do it twice with the reset, with the cooldown reset. The jump is a nice semi-escape tool, but I don't think it's a great escape tool comparatively to a lot of heroes. And her ultimate is dog shit. Sorry, I think her ultimate is one of the worst in the game, actually. It's very hard to effectively make work on a point. To get in the right position to throw it where it's going to consistently hit people. You might hit someone once or twice. You might get very lucky in the bounces, but it feels very difficult to use correctly and to use effectively. If you've got Groot on your team or a Groot on the enemy team, say goodbye to you fucking squirrels. That shit ain't doing nothing. It's just going to bounce off a Groot wall and fuck off somewhere else. So I think her ultimate sucks. So she's okay damage. Why she does do a lot of damage with her basic left clicks, but I just don't think she's that effective in a team comp. I've seen maybe one really good Squirrel Girl who was able to pick out Iron Men in the air and stuff, who was just really accurate with it. I also just found her really boring to play, to be honest. It was very mind-numbing gameplay. I was just throwing acorns like where I thought they were going to push up. If someone dived on me, I'd trap them in acorn. It was just very dull gameplay for me. I would like to see her get some changes because especially her ultimate is just, God, it's just shit. So she's C tier for me. She can, as I said, she can definitely do a lot of damage to tanks, and she obviously can burst low health heroes really surprisingly. Like her surprise damage is really good out of nowhere. You might be like, oh shit. But I don't think she's that good. Now, this one is probably going to get me a bunch of hate. And people are going to disagree with me on this. I think Starlord is shit. Out of everyone I played in this list, out of every hero that I played, he was the only one that got me mega tilted. And I'm not, like, any of you that know me, if this is your first time, getting to know me and stuff, I'm not a tilter. I'm normally like, meh, whatever happens, cool. I'm just trying to have fun. He tilted the fuck out of me. We went on an 11-game loss streak trying to get our last win on Starlord, and he was so frustrating to play. And I honestly am having a hard time pinpointing what it was. I think his damage is okay. His blasters do quite good damage, and they have pretty good range, considering what his playstyle is. His E, which is the Reaper ult, can be really effective at AoE killing groups, AoE grouping of enemies, and or finishing a kill. His flight is nice to get you on height and stuff and dance around. He is a very annoying character. A good Starlord is very annoying to play against. But there are lots of counters to him. He doesn't have a high health pool, obviously. But there are ways to counter him quite effectively. And I think his ultimate, in the current meta, and I think he will be really good in future metas. But in the current meta, I think he is not great. Because whenever you pop, what I was finding is, as with a lot of situations, every game I played in, I was playing against a Luna or a Mantis or a Cloak and Dagger as their support. And because he's quite ult reliant, I think his ultimate is insane. Let's just get that off the table. His ultimate is crazy. Having an auto lock, where you can just get up on height and like soldier ult essentially. Don't worry about aiming. If they're within your vision, fuck them. And being able to burst people in one clip and having the resets is really nice. Whenever I would ult, they would either delta split or they would just hide in a Luna ult, and then your ult means nothing. Right? If Luna Snow ults and is protecting everyone, your ult does absolutely nothing. If Mantis pops her ult, you do nothing. Right? So you have to really pick and choose your moments. In so many of the games, I was getting absolutely shit on by Namor. I felt like I couldn't do anything against Namor really at all. Every time I would go for these little pickoffs, because with Starlord, you're trying to play this like mosquito tracer type gameplay, right? You're trying to weave in and out, use your resets to burst targets away from that are isolated away from the team. I don't think he's a good tank buster, obviously. You know, he's just playing this very in and out mosquito play style. And if especially in higher elo, I feel like people play together a lot better. So it's much harder for these flankers or these like, you know, mosquito type heroes to actually be effective. So you rely on your ultimate quite a lot. And then there are so many ways to counter his ultimate. The least of which is just walking the fuck away. Like the amount of times I would see this juicy 5-man ult happening. Everyone is not focused on me. They're all on site. And then the second they hear that Starlord ult, I get maybe one kill and it's a fucking delta split. Everyone's already hidden under cover. And by the time I even find one of them, my ults run out, right? I found his ultimate really hard to be effective. And more to the point, you know, maybe if we're saying technically, you guys might put him up here. I just hated playing him. I felt like I couldn't be effective in the games at all. And by the end of it, I absolutely despised playing him. I got so annoyed, so angry, and so tilted. I was like, I never want to touch this hero again, ever. So while you may disagree with my points about his effectiveness, I am putting him here because I just fucking hated him by the end. And I'm sorry if that seems ridiculous for a tier list, but that's the decision I'm making. This is also going to shock the fuck out of people. I am putting Storm at B tier, and let me explain. Before you come at me, let me explain. Unanimously, Storm is pretty much agreed by the wider community at large that she is shit, right? She is getting a buff, so obviously this is season 0, so she hasn't got her buffs yet. But let me tell you my experience of playing Storm. When you learn how to play her, she can actually be really good. Let me explain why. When Storm first came out, I think a lot of people were, because she's got this flight, she's got this never-ending flight, similar to Iron Man, people felt like the way you should play her is stay up in the air, far back, and try and pick off targets from range, right? Her left-click damage is actually really good. The problem with her left-click is that because it pierces, when you are hitting from like high above and you're hitting down, you're completely losing the effect of the pierce because you're aiming at the ground. It pierces through the person and onto the ground. And it's because it's also a slice, it's quite hard to hit from like top down. So the way that I decided to play her, and after doing a little bit of research and looking up and playing around with her a bit, I played her as as a brawler type, right? Like a poke brawler type. And what I mean by that is if you are down at ground level, you're still hovering, you're still flying, but you're like at ground level. When you attack people, you can pierce and you can actually get a lot more effectiveness from her left click attack alone. The biggest problem with Storm is in flight, she's incredibly slow moving. So she's really easy to pick off if you're just hovering in the air. Any half-decent Hela or Hawkeye, one shot, dead, right? It's really easy because she strafes so slowly. Even with the mood speed buff, she's still slow. So when you get down to ground level and you actually play her as a bit of a brawler, she becomes a lot more effective. Her damage boost on the E, on the Thunder, is actually not bad. And when you pop, when you're in Thunder form and you pop the E, which is, think of it like Lucio boost, right? You boost the Thunder damage. It also periodically strikes people within her radius with Thunder damage. So that when you're getting in your face and you're brawling them, between that Thunder damage, your damage boost, and your left click, you can burst targets really fast and really well. And I think people have not caught on yet to how good her damage can actually be. And that's not to talk about her utility with the team. She provides and as well, if you pop the E while they're in your radius, there's a burst of damage when you pop the E the first time. So the way I was playing her was getting in there, finding my target, flying into the target, popping my E while they're in the radius, burst of damage, right click, the lightning damage from the radius strikes a second time, they're dead. And that no one is ready for that damage. And you can chase people. You can also swap to the movement speed to chase people really effectively if they dash away from you. So she's actually surprisingly good. And her ultimate is good. It can be countered very easily. It's very telegraphed. So obviously, there was a couple of games where I basically didn't do anything with my ultimate because every time I popped it, Lunar ult popped immediately. So it basically negated anything I was going to do. But around that, once I wasted the Lunar ult, my team were like, if you can play around that and you say, hey, I'm going to sacrifice my ult so that Luna uses her ult. Bam. As soon as that Lunar ult's gone, no more. You just pile on, right? And because you have quite a lot of damage outside of that, we just won by default because we were just popping everyone as soon as that Lunar ult pops. So she's definitely not the best. She doesn't deserve to be up here for sure. But with buffs, maybe. And I'm putting as she was very fun. She had a surprising amount of damage, but you have to play her that way. You cannot play her as a flying ranged poke champ because she's shit. But if you play her as like a more get in their face brawler, she's actually pretty good. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that, but that was my experience. Storm was very quick for me. I won 3 games very quickly with her. And she was very fun to play. Punisher's A class. A tier, he is. I would say high A, honestly. I did not because I didn't play a lot of Punisher before we did the challenge. When I got round to him, man, I did not realize how good his passive is. For the whole challenge, I kept getting done by Punishers. And I was like, how do they know where I am? Like, I would fly around as Iron Man. I'd get undercover, and Punisher would be sat there waiting for me to pop out. And then would just dink me as soon as I popped out. And I was like, how the fuck does he know? And I didn't know that his passive is basically a fucking wall hack. You hit them even once, you get a second or 2 wall hack, and it's insane. Aside from that, his assault rifle is really good, consistent damage. His shotgun is absolutely fucking busted. His shotgun is so ridiculous. He is maybe the only other, apart from Wolverine, he is the best tank buster in the game. It's possibly one of the best anti-dive outside of Namor. And the reason I say that is I played a couple of games of Punisher, and I went shotgun only, and I just fucking ran in. And I shredded. They were playing a Strange. Strange, Magneto, Black Panther, Magik, Spiderman. So they were playing a full dive with 2 beefy tanks. All the divers got instantly fucked if they came anywhere near me because they just got 2-tapped to the face with a shotgun. The tanks couldn't stand in my face because the shotgun absolutely shreds tanks. So I played the shotgun only, and it basically solo won the game. It was ridiculous how good it is. Aside from that, he's got a good way of getting on height with his zipline repeatedly. His turret is really annoying. There are ways to deal with it, obviously. But for just holding down a lane or holding down a very static defense, it's really, really good. And then because it protects him from the front, you can essentially just play. You could play like a shotgun turret strat. And you can just turret. If someone goes on you, you jump out, you shotgun them in the face, and then you go back to your turret. His ultimate is absolutely broken as fuck. The fact that you are invulnerable while you change is really good. And then basically you have a like 0.5 second like kill time. So if you don't get the fuck out of the way when Punisher ults, you're all dead, no matter what. It doesn't matter what you do, you're all dead. It's nuts. And his passive, in my opinion, is broken. I think his team up with Rocket makes him unbearable to play against. So there's no surprise that Punisher is played a lot in high tier. He is the best all-rounder in the game, in my opinion. He's the best DPS all-rounder. He's the one that I recommend to everybody. If you are first playing Marvel Rivals, I talked about MoonKnight before, but if you're new to Marvel Rivals and you want a hero that can do everything just to learn, Punisher is it. He is the baseline default best jack of all trades hero that can basically do anything for you that you need. Static defense on a control point, tank busting, in-your-face shotgun, anti-dive, assault, suppression fire, frontline suppression. He's got everything. And he's even got a smoke for a little bit of escape, which he can then shoot through as well because of his passive. He's fucking bananas. Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier's S tier. I don't think this needs a huge amount of explaining for anyone that's played a lot of Marvel Rivals, but I will anyway. Obviously. The reason that he's S tier is predominantly because of 2 things. One, he arguably has one of the best ultimates in the game. If you use it correctly, this ultimate, we've all seen the TikTok clips. We've all seen the YouTube clips. His ultimate is bananas, right? The resets are beyond a joke. Aside from that, though, the hook is one of the best high-level abilities in the game. And the reason being, when you play really high-level Marvel Rivals, when you're playing these really high-end lobbies, people have a much deeper understanding of the game and have a much deeper understanding of how important positioning is. Positioning is arguably one of the most important things in this game. So if you have a tank, let's say you have a Groot or someone that's just holding this front line, there's healers that sat behind them spamming. They're playing this front to back, right? The DPS are sat behind the tank, the support's behind them, and they're playing this front to back, and you're trying to attack their point. You have a couple of options. You can use utility like a Doctor Strange portal to get behind them and try and hit them back to front. You've got divers that can dive on their backline and disrupt the healing. And one of the other ways that only Winter Soldier can do, Groot can pseudo do this because he can isolate targets by using his walls. But the only other hero in the game, in my opinion, that can do something similar is Winter Soldier. He can hook people out of position into your team and pull them away from their healers out of position, so that you then isolate a target, whether it's a tank or not. But in this scenario, I'm using a tank. You can pull them out of position, away from their team, and burst them before anything else can happen. He has really high damage to help with that as well. And once you get good at Winter Soldier, you can even hook, turn, and uppercut even further back. He's the only one that has this kind of repositioning tool. Not only with his hook, but also with his uppercut, because you can uppercut him further back into your team. So you just isolate a target, burst them, and then suddenly you're at a 5v6 advantage. And then you use that advantage to pressure, to take the space, to take the objective. So that is, and there's like no counterplay. If you don't have a shield up to block it, if you don't have, if he's not slept or something, there is no counterplay to that hook. If it hits you, you're done, right? So that's why he's so good at high elo. He also has a very high damage, pistol, which also does splash damage, which is crazy. And he has his own positioning tools. The uppercut you can use as a dash, and all of that gives him bonus health. So it also helps him survive a lot. So he's just generally very, very good. For people who have really good aim, specifically, his team up with Rocket as well is insane, as we talked about. But people with good aim and good mechanics, he is one of the best DPS. He will always find value as long as you know what you're doing with him. Always. So he's really solid. Wolvie. Right, I'm going to put Wolverine in. I'm going to put Wolverine in D tier. I think I actually popped the fuck off with Wolverine. It took us a few games to get down his kit and like really understand how to do him. But similarly, I was actually just talking about Winter Soldier. I'm going to walk a step back a little bit and say Wolverine is the only other hero that has a repositioning tool. So for that reason, I'm actually going to put him in C. Because obviously he can kidnap. Now, if you haven't seen how it works, you dash in with Wolverine, you get behind a tank, and then you pull them, you dive them back into your team. So you isolate the tank in the same way that I was talking about with Winter Soldier. He's arguably even better at it because the damage he outputs after the kidnap is fucking insane. So Wolverine does percentage health damage on his attacks, which is what makes him the best tank buster in the game. Playing tank against a good Wolverine is fucking miserable. It's so goddamn miserable. He is insane damage on high health targets. It's actually absurd. However, he has quite a few drawbacks. The difference between the repositioning of these two is Winter Soldier doesn't have to put himself in a bad position to do it because he uses it as an extension of him, not as his whole body. Wolverine has to get in and then get back out. And if you're not quick enough, there are ways to counterplay it very easily. So he can be effective, but you really need to coordinate. So the reason he's not good is because if you have no coordination, all you're doing is mass feeding. You jump in, you kidnap the tank, then what? If you don't burst that tank, let's say you kidnap a Doctor Strange, you don't kill him before he flies up in the air, you've now put yourself in a bad spot, and you're just going to get burst by the enemy team, right? He does have his passive, which obviously gives you that kind of get out of jail free card for however long your health lasts. I don't think it's effective enough. And obviously he does a lot less to supports, but you can still do some work on the back line. I just think he is much harder to make him effective than a lot of these other DPS, right? I would much rather take a Black Panther who can do overall a lot more work in the back line. The idea of Wolverine right now, he doesn't have a huge HP pool, but he is a tank buster. So you go in, you take the tanks out so that the rest of your team can come in and clean up, right? And he is very effective at that and the repositioning, but I don't know. His ultimate isn't great, I don't think. It's okay, but I don't think it's phenomenal. I whiffed it quite a lot. I found it hard to guarantee it every time. That might be a skill diff. That's totally fine. People are coming around to him. I think his healing factor is shit. With the way that healing works in this game, his passive healing factor is just shit comparatively. But his when he goes down to 1 HP, the shield bonus health is quite nice. But it's on such a long cooldown that you can't reliably kidnap all the time and then have that passive up, right? Because what you want to be doing with Wolverine is you want to be diving in, kidnapping the tanks over and over and over, right? But if your passive is done, it's like an 86-second cooldown. So then you have a full minute and a half nearly where you don't reliably have your get out of jail free card. So if you jump in, you could very easily get burst before you can do anything to their tank. And there are tanks that can deal with it. I think Hulk is actually a really good one against Wolverine. I found Hulk very annoying and would often lose 1v1s to Hulk, which is crazy as a tank, but I think I was just playing against a fucking demon Hulk. Groot struggles quite a bit, I think. Doc Strange struggles. They can fly up, but then as soon as they come back down, they're just dead. So he can be okay, but I just don't think he offers enough consistently to a team to put him any higher than C, really. And I think most people agree. I think he's also just very one-dimensional, I think, is what I would end on saying. I feel like he has one job, and as long as you see a Wolverine and the tanks know that that's coming, you just play around it, and then he has nothing to do. I had a game of Wolverine where they literally played no tanks because I was playing Wolverine. And you could argue I got value from that because then they don't have any tanks. But then I'm stuck on a Wolverine pick that's just fucking useless. I would try and kidnap other people, but then it just wasn't the same, right? I didn't have the same burst potential. So, yeah, I think he's just kind of meh. His team-up's shit as well. It's kind of gimmicky, the Hulk team-up. It's very rarely that I found it was even remotely useful. So I think he doesn't need any major reworks. I think he just needs maybe some tweaks and maybe to improve his passive a little bit so that he's more free to dive more effectively rather than just doing this once every like 80-second combo, you know? But maybe that was a skill issue. I don't know. But there we are, guys. This is my DPS tier list for Season 0. Obviously, there are some buffs and nerfs coming, so this will change in Season 1, and I will show you my revised tier list then. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any. Let's keep it civil. As I said at the top, this is just my opinion and how I felt. But having played every single hero in Marvel Rivals, this is how I felt about the heroes and how good they were in comp matches. So let me know what you think. If you disagree or agree with any picks, and I will see you in the next video. See you then. Bye. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe.